Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're just going to tackle a topic that I've been asked so many times about over the years by different people, as to how do we actually grind and sharpen our chisels. They've been shown different methods over the years, but nothing's really sort of worked for them. So just over the next 10 or 15 minutes I'm going to show you how firstly we grind our chisels, and then I'm going to show you how we finish them up on the Oilstone. So stay tuned and hopefully you'll see it to the end. Thanks for watching. So we actually use a wet wheel grinder. I don't use a general grinder because they tend to heat up too much around the edge of the iron here and can actually soften the steel. The wet wheel takes a little bit longer, but it does a much better job, and you also don't run the risk of overheating the steel and softening it. So this one's not too bad, this chisel, so it won't take very long on this wheel. So I'll just give you a brief demonstration here of how we grind them, and then we'll head over to the Oilstone and I'll show you how we actually sharpen them. Remembering that grinding is not sharpening. All grinding is doing is addressing the edge so that you can sharpen it. Mostly the times when you would come to grind, as I said, this chisel, I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty good. It's not too bad at all. In fact, it's only just not long been ground, but I missed the edge here, so it doesn't quite hone up properly and I won't get the life out of it. So just for this purpose I'm just going to regrind this one just to give you a look. But you would generally grind because you've gapped it, or you've honed it so many times that you can no longer get a burr on it. So anyway, we'll get into it and we'll show you what we do. As I said, it's a pretty slow process on this machine. Not too much pressure, but we're just working when it'll work. We're just working from side to side. I don't go like that because I'll wear a hollow in the chisel. So we just go from side to side. I've got to be careful with this one that I don't put too much pressure on it because it's getting old, and as you saw straight up it actually stopped the wheel, and I hardly had any pressure on that at all. So I actually need to replace this. But if you're a serious woodworker and you're using chisels all the time, get yourself a wet wheel. They're not cheap, although these days you can get them cheap, but this is a Tormek. It was about $800 or so, I think, at the time when it was bought. Pretty old now, pushing about 30 or so years old now. Probably can't see on the video, but the wheel on this is a bit eccentric. It was actually somebody, unbeknownst to my dad at the time, decided to grind an axe on it, not realising that it was a wet wheel, and did it dry and pretty well buggered it up. Got to make sure we keep the water up to it. Not sure if you can see on the video there, but I'll show you when I'm finished grinding here, is the shiny part on the front of my iron. That's the wear marks off the stone when I hone it. But it's also because we use old chisels like this chisel here that I've got. I was fortunate to get it brand new off an old retired joiner who was a friend of ours, who bought it and never used this particular one. But these haven't been made for probably 40 years, 30 to 40 years. The brand is Erik Anton Berg, and they were made in Eskilstuna, Sweden. Commonly known as fish because they have fish stamped in as part of their logo. These are the best chisels that money can buy. These days you've got to haunt the markets to actually get them, because obviously you can't buy them new, so you've got to get them from wherever you can. But if you come across them and somebody knows what they got, they're not cheap. Thankfully I don't need any more. I can put probably 3 complete sets together now, from 1/4 inch up to 1.5 inches, with every size in between. Just about done. Pretty hard to see here in the light with the shine of the grind and the water laying on it, and the low level of light. It's not easy to see if you've got right to the edge properly, but it looks pretty good. This is where I mucked it up last time, because I couldn't see. When I got over to the Oilstone, I realised that I hadn't done it quite right. But in grinding, this chisel gets ground maybe once every couple of years. I really don't need to grind them too often. Most of the time it's usually, if I've gapped it, it'll get a grind. But otherwise it doesn't get ground until I can no longer get a burr on it when I'm trying to sharpen it. And these chisels are good, so they hold an edge for a long time. So I generally get 12, 18 months, 2 years out of them before I need to grind them again. And this particular chisel gets used every day. This is my main go-to chisel, although I've had to swap up now because I broke the handle. That's looking pretty good. I think you can see that. And going on the bevel too, like I hear lots of talk all the time about, oh, this degree or that degree. Look, it really doesn't matter. I've never measured a degree in my life. This is a pretty good angle. If you have too long a bevel, you'll get a really sharp edge, but they won't stand up. You'll blunten them very quickly. If you've got too short an angle, then you'll have to be grinding more often than you should be, because you'll run out of sharpening space. But this seems to work for me. The edge stays good, and yeah, as I said, I don't even need to hone it that often, really. Alright, now that we're over at the stone, we want some oil. So we just use motor oil thinned down with some kerosene. Now, what we're trying to achieve here, when we're sharpening on the stone, we want to rest on the back shoulder and on the cutting edge of the iron. That way, when this is ground here, it's ground with a very slight concave. So if we can get it to rest on this back shoulder and on the cutting edge, then we can get as many hones out of it as possible. So what we're trying to get is, if you can see it on the camera, you can see the wear mark across that shoulder there, and you can see it across the cutting edge. This is almost due for another grind, but I'm still able to get a burr on it, so I won't grind it just yet. But this is what you want. You want to be able to have an even wear on your shoulder and even wear on your front edge. So, on your cutting edge. So what we do is get a little bit of oil on the stone, not too much because we don't want to clog it up. Mine's already got some oil on it, so I won't do too much. We just want to spread the oil out evenly. Now, once we've done that, what we do, rest on the back shoulder and then slowly bring it up until it's touching on that cutting edge. And you'll see when it gets to that, because it'll squirt some oil out, but you'll feel the bounce as well. If you go too far, you lift off the back shoulder. Now, you don't want to do that. If you lift up, go too far up and you lift off the back shoulder, then you're going to reduce the amount of times that you're going to be able to grind it, because you'll be hitting on the cutting edge and you won't be touching here. So every time you grind it again, every time you want to hone it again, you're going to have to go up steeper and steeper and steeper to be able to get a burr on it. Now that's not the plan here. The plan is to wear evenly so that we can get a burr over and over and over, like on this chisel here, where it's been honed probably 10 or more times and it's still good. That's what we're after. So we rest on that back shoulder, we lift it up till we're getting a bit of squeeze out there, and then a circular pattern covering the whole of your stone. We do this so that we wear the stone nice and even, get no highs or lows in the stone anywhere. And what we're looking for is a burr on that front edge. You just feel the front of the iron like that. You got a burr on there. If you've got it all the way across, that's exactly what you want. If you've got it on the edges, but you can't feel it in the middle, you need to keep going until you've got an even burr all the way across. Once you've got that, lay it down, run it off, a little bit of pressure, just cover the full length of your stone again, run that burr off, feel that it's gone. It's all gone for me except for a tiny little spot on that edge which it looks like I might have nicked it on something. We run it off, back to the front again, so repeat the same pattern, but you won't have to do it as much this time. Just a little bit. Transfer that burr back to the front again and just run it off. That's what we're looking to do. Again. Now that's all that needs to be done on this chisel. That's nice and sharp now, it doesn't need any more. But what we're aiming, as I said before, what we're aiming at is to get that wear. I'll see if I can shine that up for you so you can have a bit better, get a bit better of a look. Whether I can or not is another thing, but we'll give it a go. Now you don't want to be pushing down too hard, just a bit of pressure, but not over the top. This was just purely just to clean this up. Hopefully you can see it on the camera there. You can see the wear marks, those shiny parts. There, the darkened shadow is where it's not touching. So as I said, I might get a few more grinds out of that, and it's got a bit of silicone or something on it. I might get a few more hones out of it, but I probably won't get too many more out of that one before it needs to be ground. Now that's generally why we need to grind our chisels, because we can't get any more hones out of them. Occasionally we'll hit a nail or a screw and it'll take a chip out, or like this one, for whatever reason I must have hit a soft patch in this chisel. It's not holding its edge for me anymore, so I'm having to continually sharpen it because I'm getting a burr transfer onto this side, so that doesn't work properly. As soon as you get a burr back on this side, it's not working properly, so it needs to be honed again. Now at the moment, as I say, I've probably hit a soft spot in this because I might hit this once into a bit of hardwood and I've got burr back on there, so it's not holding its edge at all. Now just to go over this pattern that I said, circular motion like this. When I went to tech, we were taught to do a figure 8, but I don't like that because it doesn't wear the stone evenly. So the circular motion, which is what my dad taught me to do, that covers the whole of your stone and you're not getting any highs and lows in it. Doing a figure 8 or just doing this is the downside of these jigs that you can get, where you can set your iron up and it's on wheels and you can just go back and forth like this. you'll eventually wear a tunnel, a plough into your stone. And then when you're trying to run the burr off like this, you're going to have a real hard time because you're going to have a hollow through here. But if you follow what I'm showing you here, you cover the whole of your stone, you get even wear all the way around it. Then when you transfer to that side, it doesn't matter where you go, you're going to be able to rub the burr off. And your stone's going to last you far longer. If you're wearing it even, it'll last you a lifetime. If you're doing this, it'll wear out real quick, and then you'll be up for another stone. So hopefully you've learned something here, and you can put it to practice and get some nice sharp chisels. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.